Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. First of all, happy holidays to everybody, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year, all that good stuff, whatever it is you're celebrating or not celebrating. It's going to be my birthday in a few days. That's going to be fun. Another year older, whoop-de-doo. So in case I seem a little low energy, I wasn't feeling too hot this morning. I've had a sore throat all day too, so I'm going to probably be trying to just speed through this. It's definitely going to be a shorter episode. So we're going to thank our Patreon sponsors, and then we are going to just go on into questions. We only have like 5 questions here, and I'll probably try to keep them as concise, it's me, as I possibly can. Anyway, let's get started with the Patreon sponsors. Thank you to all of them, as per usual. I mean, I've been doing it for almost a year now at this point. They helped us starting by combating hashtag demonetize when that all started, and they've been supporting the YouTube channel ever since. We have our patrons of light, Khuja Cross on Jenova and Kurenai Oni. They have been massive supporters of the channel, of the stream, and I appreciate all of the all of the support that they've poured forth. They always supply images for us to include here, so I'll make sure that those are playing while I'm thanking them over. So thank you both of you guys, and happy holidays to both of you as well. I'm gonna say happy holidays to everybody, so I guess I should have just saved it for when I was done with all the Patreon sponsors. We also have our standard sponsors. We have Wabatalia, Alma Elma, Dark Lumina from Jenova, Marianne, Remil Gaming, Sabo Empire, Mizra, Red Wings, and the Baron FC from Zalera, Cidus, Oreo, and Shiva, Syd Hellwind of Gilgamesh, you can tell them all over the place, Afro Ninja from Malboro, Cheesecake from Leviathan, That Lame Weeb, Ashen Emiya of Cerberus, Fafarian, Rendil, Stevie-Rex, and Neon. Whew, I don't know why he's so tough to get to. Through. I'm leaving it in. I don't care. Next, we have our elite sponsors. We have Krista Izuki, Crazed Demeter from Midgar, Raijin Ventinus from Cactar, Carol, Ray, Senchi, Shadowlink on Tomberry, Dom, Asuka Wig from Jenova, Limilla Nelhah of Midgard Summer, Sarah and the Fennel Family, Janhyua Yotsuyu, Kifka and the Grey Eagles on Exodus, Dark Graven, Kadayoshi from Khuja, Skia Symphonia from Ragnarok, Rylanator Westaus The Purple Warrior, Edric Red Seal on Exodus, Lexxie Valentine, Mantaru the Rivivus FC from Zodiac, Sour Cream and Chives from Jenova, Rynoet Chikara, Fafarian of Siren, Phoenix Down FC on Goblin, and Saren from Zodiac. Finally, we have our premium sponsors, Nyrek Vizsla of the Red, Alchemy, Shinka, Casual Heroes FC on Midgard Stormer, Tatach on Hyperion, Kana Izuki of Jenova, Ustarla on Coerl, Sathal, Sarah Frost from Behemoth, Holy Tabasco, Red Thornosaur, Crassero on 5, Mustangs, Ryan FC on Ultras, Kakazuma, Ignis Farragut from Excalibur, Valestra Fanfric, Knockcord from Excalibur, Corpus Moonsguard, Private Mikey, Night Sami, Rudy Rudiger, Killa Hackman, Roll Jr., Kiltastic Jones. I made it through in one piece somehow. Thank you everyone for supporting, for sponsoring via Patreon, and happy holidays again. With that, let's get to the few questions we have on the forums. Hopefully they're not crazy long ones, but if it deserves a crazy long answer, I won't hold back. Let's see what we got. All right, question number 1. Hey, Haps, how you doing? I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. Like I said, sore throat, but other than that, I'm all right. First time asker, so have the gift of all your Smash characters unlocking with ease. Oh, I've been done with those characters for a while now. Now it's just waiting for the DLC characters to pop up. So this is a lore-based question, so sorry if it's more suited towards someone like Ethis. Well, I'll do my best, but let me get through the question. But I was listening to one of your old State of the Realms. You guys were talking about Tharl Kash and the entity with the etheric power to rival the 7 Great Worms. With the new lore book out, I was wondering if there's any mention about this at all. It just stuck out to me since it's been really bugging me. Anyway, hope your day goes well. Thank you. I don't particularly remember. I don't remember seeing anything about Tharl Kash in the 2nd lore book. A big thing to remember with these is they are written from the perspective of in-game scholars. They're not just lore. They're not just lore dumps on things we may or may not have actually known at all. A lot of them comes from what is known in Eorzea itself, and it's compiled and written by an Eorzean scholar. So if nothing new has really been discovered about Tharl Kash, then it doesn't really, there's nothing more to write about it, pretty much. So I don't think it's there. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe Ethis could tell me there is something new there, but I just don't particularly remember it at this moment. So apologies, that's the best I'm going to do answer-wise. Question number 2. Hello, Mr. Happy. I would like your thoughts on your personal Final Fantasy job, Monk. Back in Heavensward and of course at Realm Reborn, I saw monks all the time, but lately I rarely run into one. For all the talk about how Samurai and Red Mage are the worst jobs for raiding, they are also the ones I see most commonly in all content, including pub raids. There's something happened to Monk and Stormblood that made them fall out of favor. It's just coincidence, new job excitement. Anyway, as someone who plays Monk, what are your thoughts on the job in Stormblood? How does it compare to a Realm Reborn or Heavensward? There's like 6 questions packed in there, so let me go one by one. So did something happen to Monk and Stormblood that made them fall out of favor? No, not really. Early on, there was some design choices that were questionable, especially something like Tackle Mastery, which has been given some purpose thanks to the Tornado Kick rotation that the Lizzes both came up with. But other than that, no, it's really been nothing that fell out of favor. In fact, you mentioned how Samurai and Red Mage are the ones who see the most. It's because they're seen that most that they get the reputation that they have. And it's not even Samurai and Red Mage, really. Red Mage doesn't have that bad of a reputation. It's really Samurai and Black Mage that used to have that reputation because they're designed, by design, they're feast or famine. You either play extremely well or you're kind of subpar. And, you know, Samurai got a really bad reputation for that. Even though both Samurai and Black Mage performed fairly well, I think Black Mage performs the best and fits into its actual role slot of the ranged caster DPS better than Samurai fits into its role of the melee physical DPS. But they're doing way better, and Monk never really fell out of favor. Monk's kind of fallen more and more into favor with all the buffs that it had throughout the expansion. It's about to get another buff. It's the end of the expansion, so end of the expansion buffs are kind of irrelevant. But it's still, you know, going to be a nice little thing to have for the final stretch of gameplay that we have. But yeah, no, it's just, maybe the reason you're seeing less is because A, people are more interested in things like Samurai or Red Mage, or B, Monk's got a higher difficulty curve now if you actually want to min-max on the Tornado Kick rotation. So much so to the point where when I'm streaming, I generally don't even bother doing it. I'm always looking at the stream and at my chat, and I always go back and forth, so my attention's never 100% on the game anymore when I'm streaming. And so it's definitely a higher risk for me to go through the proper Tornado Kick. I might do it for the opener and then just forego it outside of really like common sense scenarios a little bit later on. But it could be because, you know, the difference between doing well with the Tornado Kick opener and losing hundreds upon hundreds of DPS is a very narrow line. It's definitely one of the more punishing jobs to screw up if you're trying to play the way the best monks play. And so that could have scared people away as well. Maybe some people aren't as big a fan of it as they were expansions ago. It hasn't really seen much in the way of changes. It has, don't get me wrong, but like, I still don't feel much different than a Realm Reborn. I just feel like it was complete in a Realm Reborn, it was complete in Heavensward, it's complete in Stormblood, and that kind of makes it feel samey, even with the more recent additions to the job. And, you know, maybe some people just get bored of it. But no, the job is fine, and I'm really happy with where it is right now. Heavensward Monk wasn't terrible, but they tried to do the same thing with Samurai, where it was like pure DPS with like super minor utilities. And among them, you know, Dark Knight was already being brought to reduce intelligence, and Mantra was valued, but wasn't valued as much as it maybe could have been. But even then, it still wasn't terrible. In a Realm Reborn, I loved Monk. Again, probably when Ninja came out, it kind of is when everything got thrown into a bit of a flux. But even then, Monk was really good for prog because of Dragon Kick in a Realm Reborn, because we didn't have Dark Knight to lower intelligence. So it was only Monk that could do it, and that just made them real good. So I'm pretty happy where it's been for all 5+ years of playing the game, and I hope it continues to be in that kind of place going into level 80. Question number 3. Hola, Captain Happy Man. Hola. Last week I asked about your favorite Omega theme. This week I'm going to ask what your favorite Primal theme is from Stormblood. Do you have a favorite for Realm Reborn and Heavensward? Thanks for the answers, and have a happy holidays. Happy holidays to you as well. So, favorite Primal theme from Stormblood's a tough one. I'm not as big a fan of Shinryu's theme as I was of Thornton's. Suzanu's theme is pretty good. I'm not a fan of Lakshmi's. The 4 Lords, I like all of them. Series, we've only heard a small bit of at this point, but they're all kind of samey at the same time. For me, Tsukiyomi, while it is derived from other Final Fantasy XIV themes, other Stormblood themes, I felt like the overall theme for Tsukiyomi and the impact it has, especially on the encounter itself, was just done expertly, way better than any other fight. So I'm actually going to give my victor there for the Primal theme for Stormblood to Tsukiyomi. For Realm Reborn, it's tough. Garuda and Leviathan are close for me. Garuda has been a favorite since 1.x even. But I'm going to have to give that one to Garuda with an honorable mention to Leviathan. And for Heavensward, Thornton is such a good theme. I love Thornton's theme. I think I have to go with Thornton. Like, I do like some of the other themes that come out. Obviously, you have to consider the fact that Nidhogg's theme is, you know, Dragon Song and different versions of it. It's actually insanely good. But here's the thing, I don't really call that Nidhogg's theme, because that was the expansion theme and he just kind of uses it. it's kind of like cheating and saying my favorite boss theme in A Realm Reborn is Answers, because Bahamut uses it. I don't really see it as that boss's theme as much as I see it the theme of the expansion, and they kind of represent the culmination of the expansion. We haven't, you know, it's almost cheating to me, because those are, I feel like, the tracks that garner the most love and the most support. So I'm trying to exclude those on purpose. So I think I will go with Thornton for a proper primal theme for 3.0 and Garuda for 2.0, or for 3.x and 2.x. Question number 4. Happy holidays. Happy holidays to you two from Happy. Hey. Now you've had plenty of time to reflect. What are your overall thoughts on high-end rating for 7 and Ultimate? Maybe Extreme if you want to include that throughout Stormblood. In terms of your personal enjoyment, the health of the overall rating community, pugs to world first racers. Feel free to go in detail. So I did talk about this a lot in a recent video. I guess the video is probably a couple months old by now, but I kind of discussed kind of the evolution of rating from all the way back from A Realm Reborn. And for Stormblood in particular, in regards to taking us all the way up to and through Alphascape, I think they overall did the best job they've done between all 3 of their expansions with the raid scene this tier. I think, and by the way, I'm speaking purely from a fight design and from a difficulty curve standpoint. I'm not talking about from an actual raid, you know, visual and audio design. You know, I think that left a lot to be desired here with Omega, because it was a lot of borrowed stuff, and a lot of it was also inconsequential to the story until we got to Alphascape. And even then, you know, it was still kind of odd. It just didn't come together in a way that I felt was as enjoyable, lore and story-wise, as perhaps the previous raid tiers did, or the previous expansions raid tiers did. That being said, they started off slow, but I still think they ended strong with the original Deltascape. Neo X Death, I still, you know, love that fight to this day. Sigmascape was okay. It had a few blunders, and I think it's questionable whether it would be considered better or worse than Deltascape. I think that it didn't have any major stinkers like 01, but 06 is the closest thing, whereas 05 and 08 are pretty well done, and 07 is questionable because it's a fairly long fight. I think it's a little too long of a fight considering its pace is kind of snail-like. So I could have done with a shorter and faster fight there as opposed to the 12.5-minute slugfest that it actually ends up being. But then you come to Alphascape and it feels like they just nailed everything. The first boss, Chaos, is expertly done. It allows you to prog both halves of the fight by just getting through the first half and then completing the actual transition. Midgard Stormer is the best second fight we've had all raid tier in terms of actual difficulty, a jump in difficulty, a jump in demands from the actual players, coordination, even from a music. I actually love the Midgard Stormer theme, and I love hearing it play in the middle of that fight, but that's a little bit more subjective. I think 011 is just the pinnacle of third fights across the whole expansion. In fact, it's, you know, obviously Gordius is a bit of cheating, but like, I enjoyed A3 and 011 to a similar amount. 011 just didn't have nearly as many headaches as A3. I love the music, I love the aesthetic, I love the sound work that went into it, I love the visuals that went into it. Just the reimagining of Omega was just done so expertly. And then 012 for me was a wonderful, it very much reminded me of Ultimate in terms of raid progression. It was designed to be super cryptic to figure out and a lot harder for people to prog through, but one of those things you could definitely repeat upon seeing it. You know, it's not super high execution. It's got a high amount of execution on Hello World, but then it really is more about having way more mysteries in prog than it was about, you know, overwhelming force like an Ultimate might be. And then you go into the Ultimate. I mean, Ultimate was my favorite addition to the raid tiers. It gave those of us who love raiding in this game, you know, something new. And it was something warm and nostalgic while also being new. So it had this really special place in my heart and in a lot of other people's hearts. Plus the community fervor regarding the progression, how people are doing and seeing new phases it's wonderful. It's always amazing to see stuff like that. And I think it was the best addition they had. The biggest flub there being there will not be a third Ultimate this expansion. But they seem to have heard that we really do want 3 Ultimates going into the next expansion. They were planning a third Ultimate for this expansion. It just didn't pan out because they were under the impression that people thought that they were releasing them too fast. And so they canceled the third one, and there was no way they were going to get back to it once people started demanding the third one after 4.3 came out. So other than that little slip up, I mean, this has been kind of the most figured out raid scene in all of Final Fantasy XIV. The Realm Reborn had so many flubs between Second Coil Savage running into the issues of motivation and First Coil being a complete mess, and then Final Coil and Second Coil both being solid but still being relatively early. They didn't have a lot of quality of life things like we do now. And then you have, you know, Gordius, which was a disaster. As much as I love A3, everything else about it was a complete disaster. Even Midas was a disaster. You know, a lot of people got hard stuck on 06 and never got past it. I'm sorry, A6. It's a bad habit. Never got past it. And then as much as, you know, Winged Justice was fantastic, again, it was a similar problem. Like, so few groups actually got in and cleared it. And then Creator was where they tried to try and recover the raid scene by reevaluating difficulty. And I thought it was a pretty good raid tier overall. I think Alphascape and Creator are relatively equal in terms of execution, especially the only flub there being that A9 is kind of bad, whereas A5 back in Midas was like perfect for me. But overall, I mean, they've really come a long way, and it makes me really excited going into the next raid tier, even seeing things like the public dungeon in Eureka. You know, I feel like I see them learning more, and I see them really wanting to push the boundaries of the themes of the individual fights, and I hope they do. I really hope they keep pushing hard to come up with new ideas and come up with new challenges that are not just fun to play, but fun to see and fun to experience. Stuff like Pantagrator 2 on Omega, which was amazing to experience. And our final question here, I'm leaving that in. Happy early holidays, happy early holidays to you from Happy. Hey. Longtime viewer, but first time asker, so I have the gift of Drown Ball, Blitzball, being erased from all timelines and universes and being replaced with Tetramaster. See, Tetramaster isn't much better, but we have triple triad, so I'll just keep that. My question is, where do you think the story goes after we've dealt with the Garlean menace? Do you think the Eorzean Alliance maintains its integrity without the ever-present threat of Garlemald rolling up and embodying everyone? Or do we start to see other nations actually look at the allies and say, wow, well, that was really messed up. Do we need them? I don't think we're ever going to see the city-states turn on each other again. We kind of got past that already, and they kind of all understand that they need to protect their own city-states, but more so not get involved with the politics of other city-states. We've seen that since 2.5. That, you know, we obviously need to work together when the time comes, but with this inner turmoil is not something that we can involve ourselves in without, you know, overstepping bounds. So I feel like they understand that unless you had a situation like, you know, I guess Garrosh in World of Warcraft or Sylvanas and Battle for Azeroth, you know, those, unless you see those kind of stepping over the boundaries type plays out of one of the city-states, I don't think that happens. I think it's going to be more about there's a bunch of unexplored continents that have got that have to have looming threats and, you know, history that the Allagans left or something that was left behind there that could be an absolutely decimating force. Even if Zodiark and Hydaelyn are, let's say, out of the picture, that doesn't mean evil is gone. The Garlean Empire is an extension of Zodiark at this point, based on what we know about it. And defeating that is definitely a major piece. And I feel like we will probably wrap up the Hydaelyn Zodiark storyline going into by the end of 5.x. But I don't think that necessarily means there aren't threats. There's, of course, the ever so loathed time travel theory. People are already suspecting we're going to be dealing with that in this expansion. On top of the fact that there is just more time travel possibilities in the future. Time travel is what actually began A Realm Reborn. We're sent ahead in time 5 years. By Louis Sois at the end of the initial game of 1.23. And on top of that, you have the new world. There has to be new threats over there. Mara City, we really don't know what was left behind there. There's just so many unknowns that it's not, I wouldn't look inside. I would just look at what we don't know yet. There's 2 children of Midgardsormr left that are huge mysteries. And there's plenty of room for things to happen. And I'm really curious about it. I mean, I really want to see this through because I haven't been this excited about story patches in a long time. Even with the very high quality we've had with Stormblood, this is like the pinnacle for me in terms of, you know, anticipation and anxiety, waiting for these new story things to happen. So I'm super excited, and hopefully you're super excited as well. But that's the last question over on the forums, and we're not live streaming on Twitch. I needed to give my voice a little bit of a rest, so I decided not to stream the questions. and to then wait until after I'd had a bit of a break before I recorded this. But anyway, thank you again to our sponsors over on Patreon, and thank you for all of our question askers over on the forums. If you have a question for Mondays with Mr. Happy, go to the description of the video, find the Dream Network forums link, and ask it there. Guarantees that I'll see it at least. And then thank you everyone again for watching. Be sure to have a happy holidays and be on the lookout. We've got some stuff planned for the coming months, you know, in regards to certain, I don't want to say too much because I always say things and then maybe they don't pan out the way that I want them to. So just keep an eye out. I have some ideas that you may or may not see. How about that? Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm going to go grab some food, and I will see all of you fine ladies and gentlemen next time. Happy holidays, and until next time, take care.